Well, we are back on Facebook, I heard.
Yes, that's what he said. I can't tell, but you can.
I'm looking for it.
Good, and you can monitor those where you are so we can talk to those people like you did last week or respond to their inquiries or whatever they say. I don't have that capability here.
1 minute.
Well, we're going to have a good discussion. I hope we get some call-ins from all those listeners there.
Yeah, we got a good program for tonight. Some very interesting things. And I think it'll generate some interest and some calls. And hopefully some action.
$30 seconds.
I see you. It's live on Facebook. I see you now. So there's a delay in getting that going, I guess, from what I see. So
15 seconds. Stand by, gentlemen.
This is a program to help educate you on some of the issues that are vital to your understanding and your way of life, and what can be done to improve it. Only when we get other views can we make intelligent choices regarding the decisions and options available to us for the enrichment and improvement of our lives. Good Saturday evening. Truman Sigler for Personalities in the News, live from Fresno, California. This show is dedicated to the memory of John Castle, who started Personalities in the News in 1964 through 2003 on several local stations. The format of this program is educational in nature and based on the constitutions of the United States of America and the California Republic. The program today is about where we are today and how we got there. This is number 4 in a series. This will be based on the events of the last few weeks' happenings and our views on them. As these are current events and still in progress, the full story is still not out and may take more time to research the facts. Our first topic will be on the Constitution of this republic, as set forth by the founders. We are a republic. Are we a republic or a democracy? And what is the difference? This will be presented by Steve Hempling, director of the Free Enterprise Society and a co-host of this program. The other co-host, Joanne Caesar, via a call-in, will present a discussion on money of account. And why is this important to us? The other talking points will be on topics presented on previous shows. The alleged claims of police misconduct, using constructive notice to inform them of their legal obligations to their oath of office. We will address our observed views and opinions on these subjects throughout the program. The events that have happened in these past weeks are of grave importance to all of us. We must use this process now, talking about the constructive notice process, if this great country is to survive. The law enforcement, police, arresting people for exercising their rights, the hijacking of protesting people by criminal factions that looted, burned, and attacked innocent people's businesses after the marches. War and is a war. It is war and was a war against the foundation and principles of this country and must be dealt with as an invasion. It is being condoned by the same political parties by inflicting unconstitutional orders, mandates by governors, mayors, and others. This destroys their trust and respect and fear of any interaction with officials or police. The so-called pandemic coronavirus and the reaction of the servants in government and to the edicts and reactionary controls they placed on the people. We people, the people, have the power and the means to effect a change. enforce, you servants, which we elected to manage this republic, and that you took an oath to do so. We are not asking, we are demanding that you servants honor your oath and follow the constitutions. We only have the rights that we are willing to stand up for. Otherwise, we are only slaves. Sue Ann, have you called in yet? Guess not. I'm going to read what I was going to ask her to read. This is called Welcome. You came here from there because you didn't like it there. And now you want to change here to be like there. We are not racist, phobic, or anti-whatever you are. We simply like here the way it is. And most of us actually came here because it is not like there, wherever there was. You are welcome here, but please stop trying to make here like there. If you want here to be like there, you should not have left there to come here. And you are invited to leave here and go back there at your earliest convenience. I think that should be posted everywhere, especially on the major media who promote us welcoming those people without those conditions of here and there. Okay, next on the agenda here. I got to get it in front of me here. Okay, there's a link here I want you to pay attention to. It's important, especially here in California, and this needs to be done. It's called CavinRecall2020.com. That's Gavin Recall 2020, or Gavin, I should say, 2020.com. You can call in at 559-691-5700. That's a new number. Talk Radio, KXEX 1550, with your questions and comments. Now, we're going to welcome Steve on. Welcome back to Personal. Steve, who wanted to make your presentation on the Constitution now and start off with, are we a republic or a democracy? And what's the difference? And who changed it? Welcome, Steve.
Yes, I do have that. I have that information. It's surprising that most Americans don't have this information. But I did want to comment quickly on that notice you read, because that is really quite profound in its simplicity, because people come over here for a better life. They get a better life. And many of them are complaining about how bad this country is. It makes no sense to me, especially those people that are elected, the Muslim women that were elected. I mean, it's awful. It has to be awful from where they come from, what they tell me. So they come over here, they're accepted, they're elected into office, and they still think we're a racist, terrible country. It's kind of weird to me. But anyway, let's go to the republic here. Now, what's interesting, everybody believes we're a democracy. And even those Fox News guys, and I like some of the Fox News guys, I think you do too, but they use the word democracy all the time. It drives me insane.
Me too.
And democracy is not even mentioned in the Constitution. You don't have to believe me. You can look in the Constitution, and when you find democracy in there, please send it to me, because I haven't found it in 40 years of looking. But the word republic does appear, and it's kind of interesting when you start looking at it. The Constitution limits the powers of office holders. That is what the republic does. A constitutional republic usually has separation of powers. We have that here between the states, between the counties, and the United States. And it's a government of laws. This is from John Adams. He says, and they're the ones that voted and called it a republic. A republic is a government of laws, not of men. And people who support a constitutional governance argue that it is meant to mean a safeguard against tyranny. For example, in a government of men, which is a pure democracy, the majority rules. So if 51% of the people want to take the property of the other 49%, a democracy allows that to happen, because that is the law. The mob, or by vote, is the law. In a republic, we have written laws that limit the power of public servants, that limits the power of the majorities, and it protects the weak, it protects the minorities, and it always has. So So the word democracy is not even contained, like say, in the Constitution. It begins, we the people of the United States do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. But here's where it appears. It's only mentioned once in the United States Constitution. That's in Article 4, Section 4. Now, this is a pretty important section. It says this in here. The United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a Republican form of government. Now, CNN and some of these talk about that. They say it's a democratic republic or some weird name around it. And that's not what the Constitution guarantees. It guarantees a Republican form of government.
Sue Ann on line 1.
Not a democratic. Do you have a comment, Struan?
No, not yet. I think we have Sue Ann on the line. Are you there?
Okay.
Sue Ann, are you on?
Yes, I'm on right now.
Good. I had and read what I was going to have you read because you weren't on at the time when I got there. But I'll have you read it again towards the end of the show. So.
Okay. That's a yes. It says only one line, and I need to call back.
You need to call back?
Listen, there's only one line that's available, and so I need to be able to call at the right time to read what I have got, okay?
Okay.
Or did you want me to try to do it now?
Well,
and then
I already read it, so when Steve's in the middle of his presentation, engineer, can you talk to her separately off the air and explain to her the changes? Okay. Steve, carry on.
Okay. We're in Article 4, Section 4. The United States shall guarantee every state in the Union a Republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. Now, I think we are being invaded by Marxists and socialists and communists right now. These riots going on are coast to coast. In every city where the people don't take up armed defense, these rioters are let loose. And it goes on.
Well, let's make one comment on that. Even in one state, these people were protecting their property against the invaders, and they had a AR and a handgun. And the police, under the instructions of the district attorney, came in and confiscated their weapons. So
yeah, it's upside down and crazy right now in some of these states, and that's what I'm saying. The Article 4 says that state, which is, you're talking about Illinois, or was it St. Louis?
I think it was St. Louis.
Anyway, that, and California's the same way. I think probably Oregon would qualify. They're not Republican forms of government, and we have elected idiots, people that hate these elected officials hate our country. Gavin Newsom's one of them. He hates the people here. I mean, from what I hear, the way he talks about the citizens here in California would anger everybody, including the so-called liberals, including the people that support him. He thinks they're just as bad a trash as anybody else. And I think Article 4 allows the federal government to come in and correct this government and put it back on. We can't just have California going off and becoming communist. And it continues on. And shall be and will protect each of those states against invasion, and on application of the legislature. That doesn't say states; it has to be federal, or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence. Trump is busting to go into these states and quell the violence. And surprisingly, just on another note, I keep commenting on the Los Angeles governor or mayor, which I don't think much of, but he called the National Guard or asked for the National Guard the second day of rioting, and that it ended it. So these other states are being very irresponsible, and I personally would support the president going head to head with the National Guard. I don't see anything really preventing him, because there is an insurrection law, and I think this is insurrection. They're tearing down our institutions and destroying our system.
And our history.
But here's, just in brief, I'm going to read some. In 1928, the U.S. military Army Analysis did this report. And one of the things they did, and this was used for citizenship, people learning to be a citizen here learn some of this stuff that I'm going to talk about. And it's unfortunate our own people in our schools here aren't learning this stuff. that other people from other countries seem to be learning. But anyway, they defined democracy and republic. This is from the U.S. Army Analysis, 1928. It's in a manual, the training manual, number 2000-25, if you want to look it up. November 30th, 1928. A democracy is a government of the masses. Authority derived through mass meeting or any form of direct expression results in mobocracy. Does mobocracy make sense to you, Truman?
Exactly.
Do I need to explain what that means? The strong destroys the weak, and we're seeing that right now. And attitude toward property is communistic, negating property rights. Attitude toward law is one that the will of the majority shall regulate, whether it is based upon deliberation or governed by passion, prejudice, or impulse, without restraint or regard to consequences. Results in demagoguery, license, agitation, discontent, anarchy. That sound familiar?
Yes, it does.
Let's talk about a republic. This is what the Constitution wanted. This is what the founders wanted. And authority is derived through the election of the people of public offices best fitted to represent them. Now, you could argue that we're electing the best fitted. But anyway, attitude toward law is the administration of justice in accordance with fixed principles.
Yeah, Steve, you don't have the music in your ear, but I have it in mine. That's a signal for a break. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue talking off the air while they run the commercials and so forth. Mr. Engineer, take it away. Steve, I believe we're probably still live, going out on TV and the social media and possibly the radio. I'm not positive on that one.
Well, I'm going to wait on this definition, but we can talk about some other things. I mean, there's something wrong with how it's hard for me to trust the vote in some of these areas. Let's look at the squad. These four people, Jamil Bowman, Rashid Tlaib, Corey Bushman, and Ilhan Omar, have all won their primaries 4-0, all four of them. And they're freshman congressmen. They all seem to hate this country. I don't believe any of them read the Constitution. They don't seem to care about anyone's rights whatsoever. And, it's disconcerting. Why would people vote them back in after, they don't seem to rocks to me. And we have to be a little smarter. It does make a difference who you vote for. And it's worth a few minutes when you have an election to look at who you're voting for and what they stand for. It seems to me that particularly with this coronavirus, you're going to see that it's the Democrats couldn't care less about you or your family. I mean, it is the Democratic governors and mayors sending your family members to old folks' homes with the virus, knowing that you're not going to be protected there. I consider that murder. So,
I've got one thing here that we have addressed this before, especially in last week's show, with the latest mandate that the governor has come up with, and he admits in there that there is not any enforcement authority at any of the edicts that he's put out, either the first ones or the second ones. Now, he knows this, yet he's going back and he's telling the police and other people to harass you and arrest you and so forth and so on. I thought about this a little bit, and I believe it to mean that what he's doing is a CYA. Those of you who know what those initials stand for, I'm not going to repeat it over the air. And he really said that all previous orders and mandates and acts were and are not enforceable by law. He knew it then, he knows it now, and he's still doing it. So this is where...
Remaining?
What was that?
30 seconds remaining.
30 seconds remaining. Oh, no, I won't go on and read this whole thing because we've only got 30 seconds, and it would take me longer to do that. But we can come back to it. We can come back later on. We got about 15 seconds, so I'm going to ring off. Welcome back to Personalities in the News. We will now continue with Steve's constitutional talk here, but I'm going to interject something here that I forgot to read earlier. Welcome back. We will now continue on with the opinions and views of our hosts or theirs, and do not represent the program or stations. Steve, you're back on.
Okay, we were discussing real quick the democracy versus republic, and everybody, I mean, every news person in the country, even Fox News, uses the word democracy all the time. I want to slap them like this. And it's not a democracy. We've never been a democracy now. But now I understand, some will say, well, we're actually operating as democracy, and I would probably tend to agree with that to some extent. But that's not what we were supposed to be. But anyway, here's the definition of republic. We did democracy by the U.S. Army Analysis, 1928. Here's the definition of republic. And by the way, the Army and all the elected officials at that time, for the most part, loved this country. They loved the American dream and everything. A lot of these elected officials, including that squad that I talked about of 4 that just rerun their primary, they seem to hate this country. They come here for a better life, some of them, and they hate us. They criticize us. We're the worst country in the world to them. Why? Well, why do they come here? But anyway.
Well, they came here from there. You know what we read.
That was beautiful, yes. All right, republic. Authority is derived through the election of people through public officials best fitted to represent them. Attitude toward laws, the administrative adjustments according with fixed principles. Fixed principles are written. They're in the Constitution. In other words, it doesn't matter if 99% of the people want to take 1% of the people's property away from them. The Constitution forbids it and protects that minority. Now, that's a republic with a strict regard to consequences. In other words, when you do break the law, there should be consequences, that's failing right now. A greater number of citizens and extent to territory may be brought in within its compass. Avoids the dangerous extreme of either tyranny or mobocracy. Results in statesmanship, liberty, reason, justice, contentment, and progress. It is a standard form of government throughout the world. A republic is a form of government under a constitution which provides for the election of the leaders and of the country. Now, we elect bad people, we're going to get bad government. And if you elect someone that hates the government, you're going to get bad government. But all in all, a democracy is mob rule. In other words, a majority of people can take the rights away from a minority. In a republic, and the written laws of equality for all people, that is not allowed. And I don't believe there's any country that protects the rights of minorities any better anywhere than this country. And even on the thing of racism has gotten worse in the last administration under Obama, which kind of surprised me, considering, and because he criticized a lot of this country, so did his wife. And didn't seem like they did all that bad to me as a minority. So, I mean, we treat minorities very equally compared. I don't think there's another country anywhere close to that. So, this systemic racism is a lie. The idea that we're a democracy, that's a lie. And the fact that we have to cow to these people that are mob and burning and looting doesn't make any sense. New Yorkers are leaving New York. The citizens, the businesses, and they're even doing it here. I mean, we don't have the rioting in California, but they keep closing you down. There are businesses and stuff that that just can't hang on any longer. You can't get many more loans, and they can't pay back the loans they probably got already. So,
well, the government was going through one of these programs that were going to provide them with money, and first it was supposed to be a grant, a gift. Now they've changed their mind and they're going to gift or grant the money to you, but you got to pay it back. So
yeah, well, they were warned in the beginning. It's a grant if you use it to pay your employees to keep them on, but the fact that the lockdowns continue beyond the money of the loan, when they lost those employees and not kept them on board, then it becomes a loan. That's kind of the way it was written in the first place. But they didn't extend the loans, and I consider that mostly the Democrats. But here's some good news if you want it.
Yeah, we're always welcome to good news.
Well, another state, we had Washington, or it was Oregon, rule against the lockdowns. That was on the lower court. That's going to go to the Oregon Supreme Court. Wisconsin, the Supreme Court of Wisconsin said it is absolutely illegal. Wisconsin's open. Michigan has ruled them unconstitutional, the lockdowns. Here's another one in Ohio, more recent. And, this is just a lower court. It's in Erie County of California. But here's what they said. The unbridled and unfettered consolidation of authority into one unelected official is dangerous grounds to tread on. Where they're turning, we have elected people, they're turning all the power that they have over to an unelected medical guy in the county. I mean, what is that? And the state does the same thing with their state medical boards. And this is I think it's probably worse than a regular dictatorship when you have a medical tyrant running around. And they continue on. If one unelected, unaccountable to the public office official is allowed to invoke unfettered orders, criminalize and otherwise non-criminal activity only for disobedience of her orders, then the right of due process is extinguished. And they said that's unconstitutional. Now Ohio may try to appeal that, but that's exactly correct. These lockdowns were not necessary. And I can back that up a little bit because I've mentioned Sweden more than once, I think, but in Sweden, they never did a lockdown. And even today, the deaths per million of their population is a little bit ahead of the United States. They didn't do lockdowns hardly at all. The schools were open this whole time. Businesses were open. They encourage people to do the 6 feet thing, I guess, and be careful. And if you've got these underlying conditions, be careful. That's all they should have done here, and that's all they've ever done before here. And they are just a little ahead of us. But you know who's way ahead? The leader is right there in the, which I don't have it up on my screen here. I'm going to get that for you before the program's over. The highest, they did one of the most severe lockdowns in the world, and their death rate is double that of the United States, double that of Sweden, and there was just no reason for it. And children are not any place that schools are open. Sweden are not. Yes, the children are not passing it on that much that it looks like.
But also the recovery rate for the pandemic is pretty good too. Even for the people that are a little bit older, like myself. Of course, we're really at risk because I'm going to be 87 next week, and I'm considered at risk. But
you're at risk, just of a regular flu or any type of thing. Your immune system isn't what it was when you were 20, obviously, and that's true for a lot of people. But this isn't cancer. People are running around in Tennessee. She's an elected servant in the state legislature wants to make it a felony to run around without a mask because you're threatening other people's lives. I mean, that's so idiotic to me and criminal. I mean, that cannot be proven. The mask, there is no proof that masks do anything. I mean, there's very little science behind it. It's like, and I saw another report again. I don't know if we're going to be able to cover it, but if you take a group of mosquitoes, everybody knows what a mosquito is, and you got a little swarm of mosquitoes coming your way, so you quickly go out and you set up a chain link fence. And there you go. You're safe now. I mean, I suppose you could say that will give you some protection. I suppose that a few mosquitoes will run into the wire anyway and knock themselves out. But most of them are going to fly right through that like nothing. And that's as true of the coronavirus and a cloth mask. It's all but useless. So.
Well, being as you're on the pandemic right now, I got a email from John Rappaport. That's from No More Fake News. And he says, how the illusion is built is based on his study. Number one, through meetings, exercises, planning sessions, and so forth. The structure is welded into place to promote the launch the idea of an epidemic. The World Health Organization and the CDC are very influential in this, too. There's a purported incident, an outbreak. The most obvious cause is intentionally overlooked. For example, horrendous air pollution. That was the grotesque people's leavings on the streets and in the gutters. Pollution on a giant commercial pig factory farm. Instead, the world is told a new virus has been found. But that's never been found. 3, there is no airtight chain of evidence explaining exactly how the purported new virus was discovered. And he goes into all the details that it takes to find that. Or, but the World Health Order and the CDC tells the world this is an epidemic in the making, caused by the new virus. The promotion and propaganda media apparatus moves into high gear. Ominous pronouncements. 5. Diagnostic tests for the unproven new virus are rolled out. They spit out false proof of infection, like coins from a jackpot slot machine. The false positive are an inherent feature of the test. 6. All case numbered and death numbers are based on the tests are rendered meaningless because of that. And they were already meaningless because of the supposed virus being tested for was never properly discovered in the first place. 7. Nevertheless, the test plus eyeball diagnosis are used to build official reports and case numbers. 8. Real people are really getting sick and dying, but for the most part, they are people who are dying from traditional and long-standing conditions, flu-like illnesses and so forth. 9. There is a new illness, and it can be explained by causing, if there is, by cause having nothing to do with the purported new virus. And it goes on to about another 12 or 13 other points, which I won't get into. Didn't mean to take up your time, Steve. But I got the music again, so we are up to our second break. And ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because we have lots and lots more. Mr. Engineer, take it away. Sorry about that, Steve. But when we come back, I'm going to let you finish up on your presentation, and Sue Ann can call in after we get back on the air from the break, and I will have her make her presentation. Does it sound reasonable?
Well, yeah, you can bring her on. She should call in after the break because I'm pretty much, there isn't a lot in the Constitution about it. And there's a vagueness about what a republic means. And if you listen to CNN, they got it all twisted up into meaning something else. That's why I quoted John Adams and some of those guys. I mean, they know what it was for. It was for, these are set of laws, and you cannot, you go outside these laws. Even if 99% of the people think you should, you can't do it. So, and it set up individual freedom.
Well, I'll find out shortly if Sue Ann is on the program yet, or has she called back?
Not yet. She'll be calling.
She's calling. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we can.
I'll give you the signal when she's on the line.
When she's on, thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I'm having a little trouble getting my Facebook page up here where I can see what's going on. So it's got this little circle running around, and it won't go away. So I want to try something different. I'm unable to see the comments yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know the old saying, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. So keep doing it so you can get it. I'd like to find out if any of the listeners have gotten the gist of what we're talking about on the Constitution, because it's not taught in the schools like it should be. It was when I was going to school, but of course that's ancient history now. I graduated in 1952, and I had to write a thesis for civics class on government. And I didn't do what all the other classmates did. I didn't pick our government or any part of it. I chose communism. Because back in that year, that was a hot topic, 1952. All the McCarthy hearings and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, they got a little bit. But anyway, I got an A in the course, and I thought that was pretty good. Well, we're going to be on the air here shortly.
15 seconds, stand by.
Welcome back to Personalities in the News and our topics for today. Call in to Talk Radio 1550 KXEX. That's 559-691-5700. I believe Sue Ann is on the air now. No. Sue Ann, are you there?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Well, Steve, you want to comment on a few things before she calls in? I'll get a signal on that. Anybody on Facebook yet?
Yeah, well, I did find that one thing I was looking for here. The deaths per million in all the countries. The worst one was Belgium. Belgium is near Sweden in Europe there, and they did a serious lockdown. I mean, worse than the United States. And they have 868, almost 870 million, or deaths per million in that country. And the United States is 509 right now, and that's way behind Belgium. And now we have Sweden is 567, and they did not do a lockdown. 6 of our U.S. states, maybe 7, I think, did not do a lockdown. And I'm really disappointed with Texas and Florida, who have Republican governors. These numbers are skewed. I don't know why anybody would believe any of the numbers. They started out saying millions are going to die, and then it was, then they said masks are no use, and then they said masks might help, and now they say you got to wear them, even though we don't know if they help. I mean, and then the numbers in Florida, they admitted they never counted the negative test. So you take a test and you're positive and you're negative, but they didn't count that. So they were saying like it's 97% positive here in Florida, and they got into a panic. But they weren't showing symptoms. Here in Fresno County, Sheriff Mims was on the radio talking about this. Yeah, oh man, they almost 900 cases in the county jail, and everybody's in a panic. And Sheriff Mims got on the phone. She said, well, on the radio, whatever, I can't remember the program, but she said, well, yeah, and we got one in the hospital, and the rest aren't even showing symptoms. Yeah, so it's really, really serious. The hospital in San Jose says we are laying people off. There's nobody here. The governor won't let us do what they call elective procedures, such as hips and cancer and all kinds of things. They canceled because the coronavirus is going to fill them up. That's a lie. In Fresno County, the hospitals that I checked with, they were filling up only because a month ago they were letting regular people come in and go back into the hospital with their illnesses they've been waiting for. They weren't filling up with coronavirus. I mean, it is corrupting the hospitals. Up here in Mariposa, where I'm at, I don't think they got 2 or 3 cases. The whole hospital is vacant. The parking lots hardly have anybody there. This is not only just in these places. I mean, I've Los Angeles saying we're just hemorrhaging money and not getting anywhere. These are where we make our money. So, and they lie on the death certificates. So a woman who's a nurse in San Jose, I don't know if she was a nurse, but her father died of a heart disease, and it was COVID-19 on the death certificate. One of the reasons I understand that's true, if you have a COVID-19 death in your hospital, you get a bunch of money. So
Correct.
There's an incentive for them to lie on the birth certificate or the death certificates. And in Bakersfield, two doctors got on and talked about that and said the lockdown should end. And they said we are being pressured by the CDC to put COVID-19 on the death certificates. Well, why would we trust any of these numbers? I'm beginning not even believe in COVID-19. This is just a flu, whatever flu variety is going around this year. And they're just, they're running it every day. You go to any news channel, oh, this county, that county, the numbers, and it's terrible. I don't even know what all the testing is about. Who cares about testing? Do we test all around the world for swine flu? That's idiotic. If you're not showing symptoms, it's just you don't not quarantine people that are not sick. We are in serious trouble if they think they can get away with it. We have got to stop the lockdowns and stop them permanently.
Well, they're quarantining us in our own house by illegal self.
Well,
I
hope there's some lawsuits to take care of this
at
some point. So
that's why we have drafted out this constructive notice, because you can give this to anybody. You don't have to hire a lawyer or do any service or any of those kind of things, which you will do on the second part.
Hey, Sue Ann, right on time. I'm going to pat.
Right on time. Sue Ann is now with us. Sue Ann, are you there?
Hi, Sue Ann.
Hello, Sue Ann, are you there?
Sue Ann online.
I am.
Good. Are you ready for your presentation on the money of account? And why is it important to us?
Okay. Well, on July 8th, Senator Chad McCahan, okay, sent out a notice to all of the people in the state of Mississippi. And I thought it was rather interesting that if it's true in Mississippi, it has to be true in every other state because it's a federal issue. So it says notices to businesses not accepting cash legal tender in Mississippi. I've had several people reach out to me about an issue taking place in our state. Scott, thank you for your email. It is my understanding several companies in Mississippi are refusing to take cash as payment. Take a look at the photo attached. Well, it's at the bottom of the article. But if you take any of your bills and face it up and look to the left, there is something on it that tells you what that bill is. This is a Federal Reserve note, a $20 bill. This paper money, this note, is legal tender for all debts, private and public. Business owners, if you refuse to take cash, the debt is paid in full. I'm going to repeat that. Business owners, if you refuse to take cash, the debt is paid in full. If you are a business owner and you refuse to take cash, you are breaking the law. I want to repeat that. If you are a business owner and you refuse to take cash, you are breaking the law. Here is an example. If I stop by your store and I purchase $44 worth of fuel and I try to pay you with a $100 bill and you refuse payment of cash, the debt is paid in full. There is nothing you can do to prosecute me because you have refused payment of legal tender, unless the business suspects counterfeit bills. I'm asking residents of Mississippi to make me aware of companies who will not receive or take your cash. They will receive a call from my office, the Department of Revenue, and the Attorney General's office. And then, of course, he talks about corn shortages. Well, corn shortages. The federal government does a series of coins at one time of the year. So, and it's not because they've been off since March, okay? But it's all done almost automatically. And so corn shortages cannot be valid in any way, shape, or form. And if nothing else, all those people in the house, in their home who have been collecting lots of pennies, I suggest you go through them, decide which ones are very valuable, and give the rest to the bank because the bank seems to be short. And I think it would work very well. And then, of course, he gives a number. So if you take a look at your own bills, you will know that they cannot refuse payment. The minute they refuse payment, then whatever you've got in your cart, you haul out because they have broken the law.
And if they try to restrain you or keep you from taking the merchandise that you have attempted to pay for, which they're breaking the law if they won't take the money, then you give them the constructive notice, which proves that they have broken the law. So when you do sue them, or if you do it in court and consort with other people that have had the same problem and can prove that they've been damaged, then they don't have a leg to stand on when they get to court.
Absolutely. And that's the power of the people. When you can do your constructive notice and they are in violation and they have broken the law, you have power to get whatever you want back. And especially if they throw you in jail, because then you can also go after the police officers individually. You never go after them in their official capacity, but you go after them individually, and they cannot use city attorneys to save their bacon once you've gone after them. So it's really important that you understand what you can and cannot do. And we have so many more rights that are other than what is in the Constitution. And you have to learn what those rights are, because there's only 4 laws you can violate. Only 4.
Yeah. Well, Sue Ann, that's why we started this program. Is like I say in my opening statement, this is an educational program, and we're here to educate you on the power that you have by following the written law. And anyway, we're getting ready for a third break. Sue Ann, stay on through the break, and we'll come right back to you as soon as the break is over. Mr. Engineer, take it away.
All clear?
All clear.
Okay. Well, Truman, you cut out there a little bit at the end. That may be the microphone issue again, but I really like what Sue Ann had to say. I mean, in California, if the landlord refused to accept cash payment, that caused the rent payment to be excused. We even did that with the IRS. Maybe I should mention that when we're back on the radio too. But the IRS leaned the property, tried to sell it, and the guy finally decided, well, I'm just going to, if you sign this paper, I told the IRS, you sign this paper that says I owe this money, he had a check already made for him, and they refused it, not once but twice. And the judge, and that was Stockton, California, the judge in California Superior Court dismissed that debt, and also recommended that we go after these agents, because he refused it because he wanted a friend of him to buy it at the auction for pennies.
Yeah. So. Steve, I think Sue Ann wanted to break in with something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that's all he really had. So I can go and Steve can add on to it. Okay.
Well, you don't have to leave. I don't think we have. I don't think we have any other callers come in, and I wanted you to read.
Yeah, we've got no callers yet.
Yeah.
But we might, and I don't like to be on if somebody can call.
Okay, well,
because there's only one line.
Oh, there's only one line. Okay. Well, if you want to leave, if you want to leave back now, they give me another signal at 6 o'clock. I mean, it's in 6 minutes. That would make it. That would make it about 8 minutes to the top of the hour. Call in, and I'll let you read this welcome to America.
Not me. I'm going to go.
Okay.
Bye, Sue Ann.
Bye.
Well, I don't know if she's going to be coming back or not. She didn't give me a yes or no on that. But that's we've got it handled. We got lots we can talk about here.
Yes.
I could go on and read more of these 14 points from John Rappaport, or I could read that response that I gave to that radio station guy over in San Jose, Tom Quinn, who runs his program on Saturdays at noon. And it's kind of enlightening how I wrote this up. And I'd like to do it when we're live on the air so that people can hear it. Steve, you got any more comments that you want to make on things?
Or we got 30 seconds.
Got 30 seconds.
Well, just the Constitution is the formula that made this America great. Under the Constitution, we Americans have everything. The law's on our side. On every way that we look at it.
15 seconds. Stand by, gentlemen.
Okay, 15 seconds. Stand by. Welcome back to Personalities in the News, and we are back with our hosts, with our presentation, and your comments and questions. Steve, do you have any comments and questions that you want to address over the air?
Well, we don't really have any questions yet on Facebook, it looks like. But I do want to comment on Sue Ann. I think that was very good. I mean, this is becoming a trend more and more of people refusing cash. Now, I guess I can understand it when you're on the computer. With this COVID thing, people are buying online more than ever. And I guess it's kind of hard to give them cash there. But the stores, when you're live at a place and they refuse cash, the law is clear that whatever that debt is paid when you offer the money and they refuse it. And they may have to, they may take you to court, but you, as far as I'm concerned, as long as, particularly with the phones and stuff, you can even record these conversations. I think most people would be proud to say on the phone that, we won't take cash, and we're proud of it. And they're wrong. I mean, particularly the young people aren't learning the Constitution any longer. Our school systems, one benefit to me of the lockdowns, the closures, is that our schools are not indoctrinating our children at the moment. And but the curriculum there, even in grade school, seem to be very anti-American, and universities especially so.
Yeah. This is one of the problems I have with this online curriculum that they're wanting everybody to take. I mean, you can see why they're pushing it, because if they mandate the curriculum that they're going to push out to you to teach your children, is that not indoctrination?
Yeah, well, they may, even if they use the same textbook, the problem is the children can't hardly do that. Young people sit in front of a computer all day. They're just not going to do it, and they're not going to learn well from it. And even Common Core, you go to school and you're sitting in front of a computer most of the day, which has got to be put away with. That is, a lot of that is the creation of the Microsoft founder, Bill Gates. He's really become an enemy of free enterprise. I mean, he used free enterprise to make his billions, and he's pulling the ladder up behind him on a lot of levels. And he's supporting China. He's a big, big communist supporter for some reason. I guess because he thinks he's going to be one of those 5 or 10 people that still have property rights left when we turn communist.
Yeah,
my guess is he won't.
Also, incidentally, talking about Bill Gates, he's in partners with Fauci, the guy that's put on this false epidemic as a so-called government advisor. And I think that was a big, big, big mistake, letting him sit up there and tell the president and other people what to do.
I think Trump made a big mistake in turning too much power over to these so-called medical experts. Fauci I think he belongs in jail. I mean, he really made people panic. I mean, there's people out here that, give people the stink eye for not having a mask, thinking you're threatening their lives. I mean, it really, scientifically, that's idiotic, and it just doesn't hold up. But a lot of people, they're not paying any attention. They listen to CNN or MSNBC or whatever it is, and they believe it. And I'm not responsible for other people and other people's health, particularly. I mean, I even have family, and one family member has underlying conditions. She has even her groceries delivered to her door. She has meals delivered to her doors. That's her choice. But if my choice is not to do that. And I'll go out to the grocery store. And if there was a buffet, a big crowded buffet to go to today, I'd be there. I mean, I just don't believe in this pandemic any longer. The only way to get over it and get the herd immunity that they keep talking about is go out and do what we do. I don't want to die of any disease, of course, but I am not going to. My own family have lost their apartments. Some of them are living back here with me because their businesses closed down illegally, unconstitutionally, by the way. And I would never ask them to give up their whole livelihood and their whole dream so I could live another year or two. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. So.
Okay, well, I'd like to carry on in this vein just a little bit. I'm going to read some more on this reply I gave back to Tom Quinn for his radio station over on the coast, and carrying on from the non-enforceable by law. He knew then when he made them, and the same for the new ones. So whose fault is all the damage caused by doing what he said to do? Now think about that. Whose fault is it? Is it his fault? Is it the governor's fault? Or is it the health officer's fault? No. The fault of doing what the governor said, which was illegal, is being complained about by the people who are now complaining. You honored what he said, and now you're complaining that this is wrong. You bet it's wrong. They follow what Newsom said to do. Those people, by not questioning his authority and listening to other so-called experts, the people have been dumbed down by the government-run education propaganda systems and not checking government jurisdiction over them by licensing or regulating them. What they can do and what it cannot do with their money and their lives. The people have been told they are free, when in fact they are slaves to corporate entities called government. Again, I say, whose fault is this? I say again, when you get up in the morning, look in the mirror. You never questioned authority or jurisdiction. You believed them when they said this was for your own good. And we know what is good for you, and everybody has to comply. This has become a full-blown police state. You must educate yourself and untangle yourself from all of the government regulation and control. Last word is, it's not easy. It takes time and much effort, but it can be done, and you can become free. Being free requires responsibility and effort. For those of you that do not want to be free and depend on government for your life, I have no problem with the choice, as it is yours, and I respect that. Steve?
Oh, that's well said. I do want to encourage people to go to freeenterprisesociety.com, because that's where the constructive notice is. The governor of your state, if you're upset about these lockdowns, you need to get that. It's free. Get it, send it to your governor, and we'll probably have hopefully some sample lawsuits made up by people. And also, if you're a paralegal or attorney interested in these things on the Constitution, we'd like to hear from you. The thing is that, and Truman has done this, you can sue the governor personally. I know you don't need to spend $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 on suing the governor. You can do it. You can sue him personally. You can do it where he doesn't get the state money. Truman did this with the the Bureau of Automotive Repair here in California. And he sued them. He sued them personally. They went to the Attorney General here in California for them to pay for the defense, and they said, we can't do that. That changes everything when you think about it. I mean, if the Governor Newsom has to pay for it, he's got the money for, a couple lawsuits maybe, but, if we get 1,000 or so going against him, he's going to have a little bit of a problem. But so I do want to encourage you to get to the website, freeenterprisesociety.com. It's free to download those constructive notices. You can change them around where you don't need the notary and everything. I'm going to put some more up there. I apologize for not getting that up there from last week, but I'm going to get that up there where it's it's one-page thing you can hand out without any personal information on it. And you can also edit the one that's there if you want. Take out the personal information and use that, one or two-sided, and hand it to public officials. To be county enforcers, police, if somebody harass you about a mask, we're going to give them this. And I've heard success rates in some of that. Some people where they come around to inspect your business and they were handed something like this, and they went on to the next business. They do not want to take a chance on being sued.
Yeah, also, if any of these chasers checking that if you knew somebody that had the disease or you were around them and they want information from you, tell them the same thing. Where's your warrant? What requires me to give you any information under the Constitution? If they persist, hand them a notice.
They really have no authority.
None.
And with millions and millions of cases, the tracing thing, if it had any merit at all, which I'm not really convinced of, it makes no sense at this point. I mean, if you only had a few cases and we're, trying to shut it down, fine. It's out of the barn, so to speak, and we're just going to have to live through it. And we've lived through these kind of things, so swine flu and COVID-1 and everything else. We've done it before. We can do it again without any problems. But back to this money thing, I want to comment a few more things. There's a big push for, and this is on the Communist Manifesto, basically, as far as I'm concerned, part of the communist thing they want to do here is get rid of the cash in our society. That is bad for privacy. Now, that's pretty obvious. I mean, a lot of people use their debit card for everything right now, and I can take that or a checkbook, and I can pretty much tell you, I can tell you kind of what you earn. I can tell what your hobbies are. I can also find out what your perversions are. It's all there. Most people just put it all out there. It's ridiculous. If you use cash for things, I wouldn't know anything about you. And some people think, well, it doesn't matter because I didn't do anything wrong. That really isn't the point. And it's also bad for low-income communities, more so than the more wealthy communities, just because there's a lot of people don't use banks, and so I think something like 80% or so of whites are in the banking system, less on the black 52%, 60 so for the Hispanics. And I'm one of those that want to be out of that banking. I don't trust banks.
Now, Steve, I'm going to read, because Sue Ann didn't want to do this to close the show, and we'll have about 30 seconds after I get done with that to make the close for the evening. Welcome. You came here from there because you didn't like there. And now you want to change here to be like there. We are not racist, phobic, or whatever you are. We simply like it this way. It is the most of us actually came here because it is not like there, wherever there was. You are welcome here, but please stop trying to make here like there. If you want to be like there, you should not have left there to come here. And you are invited to leave here and go back to your there at your earliest convenience. And we're getting a 30-second signal here, which is about time to wrap up for the evening. Closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like our format and topics, let us know and tell others. Our time is up for this evening. Thanks to the hosts for the reviews and opinions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Tune in next week, same time and new stations. Talk Radio KEX 1550 and TV Channel 32.3. Truman Sigler and co-host for Personalities in the News. Good night.
See you next week.